is my mission statement. This podcast is here to uplift, encourage, and support all people to create and build communities surrounding their goals, discover new talents, and learn new life skills. Did I eat that? Okay, good. Thanks. Okay. Point blank, period. Welcome to SisHearMeOut, the podcast. My name is Sterling, and you can find me on all platforms at Sterling TV. Welcome to the show, where we do it and we doing it big. Okay. So today, I want to start off with our Jesus. Oh my God. Sorry. With our Jesus juice. I just want to start off with this because honestly, Jesus helps me calm my nerves. I'm very nervous about this podcast because it's going to be something serious and personal, but I do want to share it with everyone because I think everybody should know and learn and grow from my story. So let me go ahead and bring it up to you guys. Read me when you're feeling all these. So it says happy, thankful, angry, anxious, lonely, and sad. It's Jesus time. It's Jesus time. Jesus time. It's Jesus time. Okay, so right now I'm feeling a little anxious. So we're just going to read something from the anxious pile, which is green. Fun fact, green's my favorite color. So let's go ahead and pick it out. You guys see it? There we go. But the Lord, well, I'll read it. But it's second Thessalonians 3:3. But the Lord is faithful, and he will strengthen you and protect you from the evil one. And Jesus is so tea. He does and says everything he's supposed to say when he's supposed to say it. I love that man. Okay. So yeah, he'll protect me from the evil one. I need to stop tripping and I need to lock in and stop being anxious. Anxious for what he said. Okay. So this episode is actually going to be about how I had my first son. I was 9 months pregnant and had him in the ER toilet. Yes, you heard me right. I had him in the ER toilet. Didn't know I was pregnant the whole entire 9 months. I thought I was taken. Yeah. Anyway, so we're going to get into that. So I want to first set the scene up because I feel like a lot of people are like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? And I'm like, look here, bud. This is real. This is serious. This is not a game. Okay? So I want to set the scene up. I am 21. I just had, I don't want to say left college, but I was coming up on my last year. And I just got my heart broken from a church boy that goes to church. Yeah. I was actually, and this is a whole nother story, but I was actually on a church planting trip. And that didn't work out. So I was in Oregon for nothing, basically, because I was supposed to do that mission trip there, or that church plant is what it's called. And a church plant is basically you have a base church and there's a group of people that want to move their faith and go somewhere else, and also trying to get people to see what they see, love what they love, which is Jesus, right? So we were trying to migrate our church in the Oregon area, and that ended up not working out. So I was down there for nothing, and I had sold most of my possessions, and I basically went there with nothing. So it was definitely a Jesus moment, because the way I had to trust God in that moment, oh my gosh, it was insane. Oh my God, that's a whole other story for a different day. But so I went there, that ended up not working out. And a sin struggle of mine is when I get stressed out or anything, I feel like I have some pressure built. Yes, that's crazy to say, but like lust is something that I go to. So, I started wilding out and met this guy who was a, somebody who I just did like, I just had fun with, a situationship is what they call it. And a situationship is basically someone that you're, you know what, I would just below. I'll have a description of what that is if you don't know what that is. And then for audio, people with audio, it's basically something that you are currently like you're with the person and you do whatever you do with them, like whether it's go on dates, whether it's have sex, whether it's, I don't know, just like anything, like go to the mall, like, but you clearly have like a little you're friends, but it's a little bit more than friends, like you're getting to know each other. It's complicated, that's why it's called a situationship. And I ended up being like, okay, I want to go back to Washington. So I'm just going to leave. I didn't tell him. We had our situationship for about a month. And I didn't tell him. I just was like, you know what? I'm going to go back to Washington. So I went back to Washington. You know what? I guess I should say the date. So I was in Oregon. This is 2020, height of COVID. I moved to Oregon in June. I moved back up to Washington in November. I'm going up to Washington in November. And right around March, I start to feel super sick, like super sick. My stomach's hurting. I'm just like laid out. But, at this time I had the IUD. So I'm thinking like maybe it's just a symptom from that. Also, it was the height of COVID. And, usually when people were sick, the symptoms are you could be like on bed rest for like weeks. So I was thinking I just had COVID. I never got tested, but that's what I was thinking. So I had proceeded to just live the rest of my life. Like I thought everything was fine. I had a pap smear right around that March time too. I think it was like after those weeks where I was sick. I actually had got a new boyfriend. I was having a wonderful, wonderful time. And Washington. I had got like my first big girl job in the county, working at a vaccine clinic. I was working 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. Also, I was doing hair. I was straight grinding, like straight grinding on my feet all day, going to weddings. Um, I mean, you name it. I went to Vegas, just having the time of my life. Um, April comes around and I'm going to Vegas because it was my cousin's birthday. We're drinking and we're smoking. And every time I drink and smoke, it felt different. Like I was extremely tired, like super exhausted. Mind you, I had got the IUD maybe like 6 months prior to me going to Oregon. So about, say, like January 2020. Then I went to Oregon in June 2020, moved back to Washington November 2020, and now it's hitting March, April 2021. And I'm just like feeling super laid out, super tired. I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I am just exhausted. I don't know. This IUD is taking me out. I'm thinking it's the IUD. I'm thinking it's COVID, maybe. Again, I'm like, I just don't understand why I'm so tired and exhausted and why this alcohol and weed is taking me out. My cousin was like, I don't even know what you slept all night. Like, you were just super exhausted. And I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, maybe it's because it's hot. Like, I don't remember it being this hot. I don't know. I just felt different. So, I come back to Washington and I think I got my pap smear in like May. And she told me, she was like, I don't really see your strings in your IUD. So I was thinking maybe it's, I don't know, maybe like she just can't find it. Like maybe it's just up in there. But she didn't seem too worried. So I was perfectly fine. I was like, okay, it's fine. It's going to be okay. So Me and my boyfriend at the time, it was not a good relationship. I just felt like I needed to be with someone. Like I felt like I was craving a partner. Um and sad to say, I didn't care who it was. Like, and that sounds super scary and super sad, but it was true. Like I didn't care who it was. In that time where I moved back up to Washington, I was living with my mom. So from like November to like maybe like June. I think it was November to June. I was living back with my mom. And anybody who knows, when you move out of your house or move out of your parents' house and then go back in with your parents, it is literally one of the most difficult things you could probably ever do. And when I say ever, I mean ever do. The person I was with just happened to be this guy who didn't work, didn't drive, lived with his dad. God. Sometimes I like think back and I'm like, what the hell were you doing? But now that I know what I know why I did what I did. But it's still like super crazy to think about. But yeah, so from November to June, I was living with my mom. And me and my mom were butting heads like no other. Like I said before, we if you ever moved out of your parents' house and then moved back in your parents' house, it is a whole different like feel. Um you start to notice the things that hurt you as a child that you feel like you can improve. You almost try to come in there as like a fixer, or you see the I don't know. I feel like you just see more wrongdoing than good doing. And I think that's just because you've been out on your own. And, it's not fair to my mom at all, but that's just how I was when I came in. And I was very like meticulous. Like, you used to, tell me to do this and this way. You used to tell me to do this. Like, why are you letting the kids, or because I have six other siblings, but with my mom, I have four other siblings. So I would just watch her do things differently. And I'm like, you never used to do that with me. Like, I used to get like so annoyed and so frustrated. And I eventually, we had gotten this huge argument and she had decided to tell me, well, you can start paying rent. And I was like, oh yeah, that's my time. That's my cue to go. Cause I was actually sharing a room with two of my little sisters, which is just crazy to me because I've never shared a room in my life. Like, even when I was younger, since a baby, like, I never shared a room in my life. I was very, 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 very lucky, very, very privileged when it came to that. And so I'm sharing a room, which I'm okay with. But if you're going to start charging me, like, I need to go ahead and proceed to move to my another space, with just me. So I stacked my bread because like I said, I was working a lot and doing hair. I stacked my bread, and hitting that June mark, I had actually moved out. And now that I think about it, oh my God, I moved. I was picking up stuff. My God. Oh my God. Let's just say God was so good. So yeah, I moved into my first studio apartment by myself, and I was super, super excited about that. I was like, oh my goodness, like, wow, like I saved enough money to go ahead and get my own space, which I was so happy about and so proud of myself about, because it only took me less than a year to really lock in and get my own space. Anyway, okay. So he had actually put his hand on my neck. And I don't know if he meant that in like a sexual way or not a sexual way. It just was weird to me because I've never had anything happen like that. So I was like, what the heck? Like, it was kind of funny. Like, I don't know. I started laughing. But then I also like peed a little bit. And I was trying to figure out, like, I'm not scared or anything. Like, why did I pee? Like, it was so weird. It wasn't like a huge stream. It was like a really small stream. And this was hitting, it's hitting like the end of July. And he did that situation where he put his hand on my neck. And I was like, whoa, bro. Like, I don't know. It seemed funny to me at the time because I was like, I've never experienced anything like that. Like, what are you doing? And he was just like trying to make a joke out of it. But like I said, I peed, and it was like, it wasn't a huge stream, but it was definitely like a little one. And I was like trying to figure out, what is that? Like, what is that that just happened? And I went to the bathroom and I'm like checking myself and I'm like, what the heck? After that stream that came out of me, the next 3 days was literally cramp city. Like, oh my God, the most biggest cramps I had in my life. I was just having these cramps out of nowhere. And after the first day, my sister comes over. I was like, hey, can you come over? Like, I really need to talk to you. And she had came over and I was like, sis, like, I don't know what's wrong, but like, I've been having these horrible cramps. Like, I just like can't shake it. I don't know what it is. Like, and she was like, girl, you need to go to the doctor. And here I am with in my own space. I'm like, I'm worried about like my bills. Like, I can't afford a bill right now. I cannot afford a bill. I can't go to the hospital. Like, I just can't. Like, I have to figure out a regular way. I just needed to tell you. And she was like, girl, I really think you should go to the hospital. And I was like, ugh, we'll see. If I have it in like 2 more days, then like I'll go to the hospital. So the next day, I do my cousin's hair, and she's like, I asked her, I was like, am I walking funny? Like, I feel like I'm walking funny. I don't know. She was like, you're walking a little bit funny. Like, she was like, are you pregnant? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't think so. I mean, I was with my boyfriend for 3 months. Like, there's no way I could be pregnant enough to walk funny. Like, I don't know. And she was like, huh, like maybe you should take a test. And I was like, oh, okay. And so, I carry on the rest of my day. Um, and then the next day I go to my cousin's house, my other cousin's house, because she asked me to help her with a project. So I'm helping her with that project and everything like that. And I'm just having these cramps still. I'm like, dude, like, I don't know what it is. She was like, girl, let me fix you up my famous edible edible seasoned potatoes. Oh my God. It was so good. Like, I was smacking, grubbing, and after that I was laid out. I didn't even feel a cramp for like, because I think I went to sleep. I said, cousin, I'm gonna lay down. And she was like, okay. I didn't even feel a cramp for like the next like 3 hours. And so I was like, okay, let me get up and go home. So I get up, go downstairs and go home. She was like, I hope you feel better. I was like, okay. So I'm literally driving home, getting these horrible cramps. I finally get into my crib and my boyfriend's there and I'm just like, dog, like, if I go to the bathroom and see a stream of blood, like, maybe like I should go to the hospital. And he was like, okay, like, are you sure? Like, you're okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm just cramping, like, blah, blah, blah. So the whole night, literally the worst cramps of my life. Like, I literally was like, and he was like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? I was like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Oh my God. I don't need to laugh, but it's like, I'm like thinking back on it and I'm like, bitch. Anyway, so I went to the bathroom and I peed and I see a stream of blood. And I was like, okay, this must be serious. And maybe I am pregnant. Maybe I'm having a miscarriage. I don't know. I don't know. So my boyfriend can't fucking drive. So I was driving the whole way to the ER with these horrible cramps. I don't even know how I did it. We were going over bumps. And if you've ever been pregnant, you know. I don't even know how I did that. That was literally uh, I literally don't know how I did that, but I walked in and I pulled in, parked the car, um, and luckily my car wanted to start that day because some days my car doesn't want to start. I went in there And I was like, hey, y'all, I don't know what's going on. Like, my stomach really hurts. I'm having these horrible cramps. I have an IUD. I should be good. You know, like, I don't know what it is. Like, but I could possibly be pregnant. I know we've been together for about 3 months. Like, maybe I'm having a miscarriage. I don't know. And she was like, okay, well, go ahead and go have a seat. So I go in there and I have a seat and I'm just like shaking uncontrollably. I'm throwing up. I'm like, my boyfriend's trying to talk to me, and I'm like, please shut up. Like, I don't need you to say shit to me. Like, you're annoying the out of me. Like, please stop talking to me. I was so rude, and I was just shaking, throwing up. She finally came out, or actually, before the girl came out, I had called my mom, and I was like, hey, mom, you okay, girl? Like, what's actually, it was like 1 in the morning. It was 1 in the morning. And I was like, hey, mom, like, I feel like I don't know what's going on, but I'm shaking, I'm this, I'm that. And she was like, where do you feel the pain? And I was like, my lower area. And she was like, oh, maybe you have appendicitis. And I was like, really? And she was like, yeah, maybe you have appendicitis. Like, I was like, well, what would they give me for that? And she was like, you'll probably go home with like a pill bottle or something. Like, you'll be okay. And I'm like, let me go ahead and lock in, because it must be not that big of a deal. But the cramps kept getting worse. They kept getting worse. It just like progressed. And the girl finally came out and she was like, hey, go pee in this cup. And I was like, okay. And I could barely get up. So I'm grabbing the cup. I'm walking to the ER bathroom. And this is the waiting room bathroom. I'm walking to the ER bathroom. I sit down and like, I've had like digestive issues before. So I was like, okay, I feel like I have to do number two. And so I'm pushing, but it felt like a whole different push. I was like, what's going on? And I push again and I hear one cry, like a where? And I was like, what? And then I pushed again. So this is my third time pushing. And then I hear like a bloop in the toilet, right? So I sit there for a second and I'm like, did I hear what I just heard? And then I noticed that my body just felt amazing. Like, I literally felt like I could go run 4 or 5 miles and be happy. And then after that, like, go to an amusement park. And then after that, like, I felt like I could do anything in the entire world. Like, I felt amazing. But then I thought again, and I'm like, okay, I feel good, but like, I heard one cry. And then I remember looking up to God and I was like, God, I was like, did I hear what I just heard? And I swear I heard a clear voice like, yes, like, yes, girl. And I like stood up and looked back and I was like, I felt like when I stood up, I felt a tug. And then when I looked back, he was in the freaking toilet. I was like, what the is that? I was like, what is that, bro? Like, I was so shook. I was like, there's no way. What is that? And so I'm sitting here and I'm just like, and the baby is sitting in the toilet quiet. Just quiet, not saying a word, like not moving. Oh my God. It's literally the craziest thing ever. And I just remember going, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? And I looked over and I saw the string, so I pulled it. And somebody came in and she was like, hey, sweetie. And I was like, ma'am? And she was like, yeah, is everything okay? I was like, I think I just had a whole baby. Yeah. So there's that story on how I had a whole kid. Went 9 months pregnant without knowing. I will definitely have a part two to this because literally after that moment, everything went slow motion. Like, the craziest thing. If you have questions or anything like that, please, 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 please let me know. You can DM me at Sterling TV. You can comment under the video. You can hit my email. It's SHMOP2024 at gmail.com. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. This is something that is just like absolutely crazy. It's definitely a little party trick telling everybody that I had a baby out of nowhere in the ER toilet. But, as you can see in my TikTok videos, he is alive, well, super smart, great big brother, and an intelligent kid.
Mama, your picture. Mm-hmm. Oh. Trap. Like you.
Come with us.
Bendable.
You're showing all your toys? So, yeah. Thank you so much for stopping by. I am happy to tell you guys about my life. This not only helps or informs you guys, but this helps me with therapy and being able to talk through things and traumatic things that has happened in my life. I hope that you guys have learned something, or even, just like have an eye open for anything. Like I said before, I had the IUD, and yeah, just the craziest experience. Go get your IUDs checked every once in a while. If you feel like something's off, literally go check that. I feel like you should also be taking pregnancy tests maybe every 3 months. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. Especially if you're active, go ahead and do that. Other than that, yeah, I am super thankful and grateful to be here and tell you guys my story. Like I said, welcome to Sis Hear Me Out. Thank you for watching the show. My name is Sterling. You can find me at Sterling TV on all platforms. And yeah, thank you guys for coming and getting to know me. Yeah, bye. Okay. Point blank period. Welcome to Okay. Do I say it fast or do I say it slow? Like, point blank period. Welcome to Sis Hear Me Out, where we do it and we do it big. Okay, let's try it one more time. My name is Sterling, and you can find me on all platforms at Sterling TV. Welcome to the... Okay. Mission statement. This podcast is here to uplift, encourage, and support all people. Okay. Lock in. This is the mission statement. Okay. This podcast is here to uplift, encourage, and support all people to create and build a community surrounding their goals, discover new talents, and learn new life skills.